Eazy-E has lost his battle with AIDS just 10 days after revealing that he had the disease.
So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
Eazy-E thing.
One topic in hip-hop that just refuses to die is Eazy-E's death. Truth is, there's way more to it than people usually talk about. Back in the 80s, Eazy defied the tough streets and started to build a buzz that helped shape hip-hop.
I mean, you got people coming that never did gangster rap before, because, okay, say they records that came out, they was commercial, all right? So they commercial, they come out, the records don't sell that much. Next album, they want to come out, they want to be gangster.
Then, right when he was on top, his life was suddenly cut short.
So that Sunday, how soon before he ended up in the hospital?
That Monday.
Wow.
The next day, and he never came out of the hospital out of Cedars-Sinai.
After he passed, rumors started flying. People whispered about foul play. Fingers got pointed, and theories took over. But what really happened? Let's dive in. Eric Wright, better known as Eazy-E, was born in Compton, California in 1964. By the time he was growing up in the 1980s, Compton was a hard place to survive. Gang violence was everywhere, and danger was part of everyday life. That decade would end up being one of the most important periods in the city's history. During this time, shady real estate practices helped tear the community apart. Agents used a tactic called blockbusting, spreading racist fear to white homeowners and convincing them to sell their houses cheap. Those same homes were then sold to black families at inflated prices. Eazy's family was among the first black families to move into the area. At the same time, factory and manufacturing jobs disappeared, leaving unemployment, poverty, and racism to fill the gap.
The way the LAPD handled the gang sweeps a while back, they picked black kids at random. You know, if you was in a certain age bracket and you looked a certain way on the street, you know, you went to jail.
Eazy dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. With few options and bills to worry about, he turned to drug dealing to survive. He learned the game from his cousin, Horace Butler, who showed him how things worked. One night, during a drug run, Butler handed Eazy a bag of cash to hold on to. Eazy agreed and went about his day like normal. Hours later, Butler was riding with someone else when that person shot him 7 times and ran. Butler didn't survive. The loss hit Eazy hard. After his cousin's death, Eazy took over the drugs Butler had left behind. The money came fast, and before long, he was making more than he ever imagined. But the lifestyle felt empty, and the danger was constant. He knew he could easily end up dead the same way his cousin did. Looking for a way out, Eazy used his drug money to invest in music. He set up a small, makeshift studio in his parents' garage and started recording his first tracks. His life experiences, the streets, the violence, the loss, became the foundation of his sound. That honesty connected with people who were living the same reality. Before long, Eazy linked up with 2 local talents, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. Together, they formed a group called NWA.
Put it together. So Eazy was with it, because Eazy always did music and what have you. We used to make our little tapes in the back of his house and everything. I knew Cube, and I liked the way Cube wrote, so I asked him to write a song.
In 1988, their album Straight Outta Compton exploded, going double platinum and dragging gangsta rap into the national spotlight. 2 years earlier, in 1986, Eazy had also co-founded Ruthless Records with Jerry Heller, again using money he made from the streets to fund the label. The group's reputation grew even bigger after the FBI sent a warning letter to NWA's distributor over the song F the Police. Controversy followed them everywhere. In the early 90s, several members ran into serious legal trouble.
They hated us. Yeah, they hated us. We was on stage one time in Detroit in '89, and we had a song called Fuck the Police. You know, that was the song.
So the police didn't like that song?
Dr. Dre became involved in a high-profile case after assaulting rapper and TV host Dee Barnes in 1991. He later served house arrest after another incident involving a record producer and a police officer. Eazy stirred backlash of his own in a different way. In 1991, he attended a fundraising lunch for President George H.W. Bush and even made a donation. Before Republicans realized it was a computer error, Eazy had reportedly received far more press than money he actually gave. Despite the fame and impact, NWA didn't last. In 1989, Ice Cube left the group after disputes over money and royalties. After Ice Cube left, NWA kept putting out music without him. Several of those tracks were aimed directly at Cube, accusing him of betrayal. Ice Cube didn't stay quiet. He fired back on his solo records, taking shots at NWA, Jerry Heller, and Eazy-E himself. His most famous response was the brutal diss track No Vaseline, which made it clear the split was permanent.
The motherfucking saga continues.
Y'all motherfuckers ready for a WA? Get the fuck up!
By 1992, the cracks inside the group had widened even more. Dr. Dre had grown unhappy with Ruthless Records and the way things were being run. Along with fellow NWA member, the DOC, Dre left the label and joined Suge Knight's Death Row Records. But the situation wasn't clean or peaceful. Behind the scenes, there was tension, intimidation, and chaos. Later that same year, Eazy-E filed a lawsuit against Suge Knight and Death Row Records, claiming Knight had used threats and pressure to force him into signing away the rights to Ruthless Records artists.
According to court papers, Suge and friends basically came in and told Eric and Jerry Heller Dre was leaving and they couldn't stop them, and that this was not just legal, it was physical.
The case dragged on, but was dismissed in 1993. Just 6 years after Eazy-E had helped form NWA, the group was officially finished. Not long after, Eazy's life took a sudden and unexpected turn. As early as 1994, he began having trouble breathing. His chest felt tight and uncomfortable, almost like it was rushing or congested. At first, it didn't raise major alarms. Some assumed it was something minor, maybe asthma or exhaustion. But the problem didn't go away. As the weeks passed, his condition slowly got worse. By around February 16, 1995, Eazy checked himself into the hospital. He stayed there for about 3 days and was released around February 19th. At the time, he seemed to be improving. He even left the hospital and went straight to the pharmacy to pick up medication before heading back to the studio with his close friend and artist, B.G. Knockout. Over the next few days, though, the discomfort in his chest never fully disappeared. One of his artists, Frost, later recalled that Eazy told him he still wasn't feeling right and that his chest felt congested.
So he's like, man, he's saying like, man, I'm not feeling that good. I got like a chest congestion, like a thing, and then it ended up going into that Sunday.
Around February 24th, Eazy was back in the studio with B.G. Knockout and other associates working to finish an album. Eazy still had a verse left to record. When he didn't show up in the booth, B.G. went looking for him. He found Eazy in the hallway behind the studio. B.G. went back and forth a few times, trying to hurry him along. Each time, Eazy told him to hold on, signaling he'd be there in a second. Then things took a sharp turn. The last time B.G. went out to get him, he found Eazy struggling to breathe. He was wheezing badly, using his inhaler over and over, trying to open his airways. He was sweating heavily, and his condition was getting worse by the minute. He could barely speak.
It was the day of.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was in the back of the studio, in that little hallway. And I went out there like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, E, can you please come on and do your little part so we can turn this album in? The last time I went out, he was wheezing real heavily. And he started hitting the inhalers. And as we were talking, he started sweating.
About an hour and a half into being at the studio, B.G. realized this was far more serious than asthma. He called for Eazy's bodyguards, and they rushed him to the hospital. Eazy was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. It was there that doctors delivered life-changing news. Eazy tested positive for AIDS. At first, no one around him knew what was really going on. Most believed he was just being treated for chest congestion and would be fine. But about 2 weeks before the news became public, Frost heard the truth. His girlfriend, who was at the hospital, called him and said Eazy had been placed on the AIDS floor.
She just abruptly stopped me right there and she said, Frost, Eazy's on the AIDS floor. They don't let people up here, period. It's not no celebrities, it's not none of that shit like that.
At first, no one wanted to believe it, but soon it became clear the information was real. By March 16th, Eazy's condition had severely declined. His health was failing fast. That day, a press conference was held. Eazy had written a letter for his attorney, Ron Sweeney, to read to the public. In it, he confirmed his diagnosis and spoke openly about his condition.
He was released from the hospital, came home, but he didn't show signs of improvement, so he went back to a different hospital. This time they ran more extensive tests, and as a result, we found out that he has what he has.
He said he wanted to use his situation to educate young people who looked up to him, stressing how serious the disease was and the importance of protecting yourself. The world was stunned. Eazy-E was dying right in front of everyone, and it happened fast. Still, his message hit hard. His honesty opened a lot of eyes, pushed fans to rethink their lifestyle, and brought real awareness to the disease in a way few public figures ever had. It didn't take long before Eazy became completely immobile. Doctors later revealed during a press conference that the disease had reached a critical stage. He had developed pneumonia, couldn't breathe on his own, and had become paralyzed. To keep him alive, doctors placed him in an induced coma, hoping to preserve what little strength he had left. DJ Yella later explained that after a risky surgery to clear fluid from Eazy's lungs, doctors made the decision to induce the coma.
That was after the surgery. They were trying to do a surgery to clear his lungs or whatever it is. And they knew whatever it was, 50-50 chance that he can knock him out of it. So they put him in a coma.
Eazy's son, Lil Eazy-E, who was only 10 years old at the time, later recalled sitting outside the hospital room. He watched doctors rush in and out, saw his father hooked up to tubes and machines, and heard the cries of family members mixed with the constant sound of medical equipment. It was a scene he would never forget. By March 24th, news vans and camera crews were parked outside the hospital, waiting for updates. Rare footage from that time shows Eazy's friend, Big Rag, giving interviews, offering mixed and sometimes hopeful reports. He claimed Eazy was off life support, doing better, and that everyone was praying for a recovery. But the hope didn't last. On March 26, 1995, just about 10 days after his attorney announced his condition to the public, Eazy-E passed away in his hospital bed. Doctors officially stated that the cause of death was complications related to AIDS. But after his passing, darker questions began to surface. People started to wonder not just whether Eazy died from the disease, but how he allegedly contracted it in the first place. Eazy lived a wild and promiscuous lifestyle. He had 11 children with multiple women and was known to have many other relationships.
How many total kids did he end up having? 11. Okay, because I remember when he passed away, it was five. Okay.
How many children you got, Eric?
5.
You have 5 children?
Yeah.
Seriously? You have 5 kids?
And
no,
you and
you
your
don't.
wife are, where do you live now?
Yeah, where's your wife?
I'm not married.
You're not married? What the hell is going on there, Eric? Now, seriously, what is going on?
That led to one major question that never went away. If Eazy had AIDS, how did none of these women, or his children, contract it? Those closest to him didn't believe the story added up. Many felt his decline was far too rapid, unnatural for someone newly diagnosed. Some believed that while Eazy may have had the disease, there could have been foul play involved in how his life ended. After his father's death, Lil Eazy-E became an AIDS activist. He dedicated himself to learning about the disease, spreading awareness, and helping others affected by it. But the more he learned, the more doubts he developed about what really happened to his father. As time passed, suspicions only grew stronger. That feeling intensified when it came out that Eazy's girlfriend, Tamika Woods, who was pregnant with his child, had married him while he was hospitalized.
At that time, the only ones that knew I was pregnant was he and I. We got married at the hospital because he wasn't sure if he was going to make it through. He went through the whole list of...
After the marriage, she was given control of Eazy's estate. That revelation opened the door to even more questions. Fingers began pointing at Tamika, Eazy's attorney, Ron Sweeney, and others who were present in the hospital room. The story surrounding the marriage didn't make sense. If doctors claimed Eazy had been paralyzed and unconscious since March 15th, how could he have knowingly agreed to marry, sign over control of his estate, approve a will, or even write the letter that was read to the public? Adding to the mystery, family members later noted that the marriage certificate didn't include Eazy's handwritten signature. It was typed. Things only got stranger from there. Lil Eazy-E revealed that some of the doctors involved could no longer be located. There were claims of forged signatures and missing records. Each new detail poked more holes in the official story, creating a version of events that many felt could no longer be explained logically. Ebe, Eazy-E's daughter, was never convinced by the official story surrounding her father's death. She became deeply involved in trying to understand what really happened. Over time, she spoke with health professionals, people connected to the hospital, and individuals who were around during Eazy's final days. What started as private family concerns slowly became public knowledge. According to the family, tensions grew between them and Tamika Woods-Wright. It was alleged that aside from Tamika and her side of the family, most of Eazy's children and relatives received only about $75,000 each from an estate valued at over $20 million. After that, many of them were cut off entirely and received nothing further.
I mean, yes, I think a certain amount was left to each one of the kids, but a very small amount. I actually can't remember the amount right now. $75,000, there we go. And at that time, I want to say that the estate was worth...
As more details came out, inconsistencies began to surface. Early on, BG Knockout stated that Eazy's cause of death was cardiac arrest. However, when EB later obtained Eazy's death certificate, it listed pneumonia caused by AIDS as the official cause. This raised questions about whether the document had been altered, something Lil Eazy-E had previously hinted at. Around the same time, Eazy's children's mothers became involved in legal disputes with Tamika. It was claimed during these battles that information about Eazy's death was close to being uncovered, suggesting that the full truth had not yet been revealed. The situation became even more complicated when one of Eazy's known enemies appeared on national television and made statements that caused many people to question his possible involvement. As mentioned earlier, Eazy-E and Suge Knight had a long-standing conflict, especially after Dr. Dre left Ruthless Records for Death Row. That feud had nearly escalated into violence. What raised eyebrows was Suge Knight openly describing, on camera, how someone could be killed by injecting them with AIDS.
Right. So they got this new thing out there. People sell them all the time. They got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Given his reputation and past behavior, some believed he was capable of such an act. BG Knockout later released the song In My Prime, where he openly suggested that Eazy had been assassinated. Frost also shared his belief that Eazy's blood may have been tampered with, stating that the act seemed intentional. Another point of concern came from an incident where Eazy reportedly visited an acupuncture session and subtly mentioned Suge Knight, referring to him as evil. EB later took this claim to a medical professional, asking whether the virus could be transmitted in such a way. The response reportedly left the room silent. These moments placed Suge Knight high on the list of suspects in the eyes of many, alongside others, including those who believed the FBI could have been involved. Given Eazy's street-centered music and his open disrespect for law enforcement, especially with songs like F the Police, it was widely believed he was on the FBI's radar. In Eazy's final interview, it was claimed that the Ku Klux Klan had placed a hit on him and that the FBI was allegedly aware of it but chose not to warn him. Later, a doctor and specialist named Dr. Wilbert Jordan stated in an interview that he treated 2 women who claimed they had contracted the virus from Eazy. According to him, both women were still alive and in good health.
I just want to talk about them for a second.
I have 2 of my patients.
2 of the women were your patients? Just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes.
Yes.
One is still my patient.
This added yet another layer of doubt to the narrative surrounding Eazy's rapid decline. As more people continued to dig into the facts, the original explanation for Eazy's illness and death became harder for some to accept. The speed of his decline, the conflicting records, and the unanswered questions left many believing that if foul play was involved, those responsible relied on confusion and silence to protect themselves. What remains clear is the legacy Eazy left behind. He built something lasting. He helped lead one of the most influential groups in hip-hop history with NWA. Even though the group had fallen apart before his death, members were reportedly beginning to talk again and work through their issues. A reunion was possible, but it never happened. Eazy-E lives on through his music, his impact, and the questions that still surround his final days.